Happy Devils Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address presented by PucksandPitchforks.com. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Nick Villano, the editor-in-chief of that fine website with millions of hits around the world. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, or Twitch. Or X Live, I don't know. On the Let's Go Devils.
No, we don't subscribe to the X.
Forgot. I forgot I was on this podcast. As we're coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios in North and South Jersey. Devils fans filing in. They seem all happy right now because there's a game going on. Devils Rangers. Preseason action. Nick, I got to tell you, I am pumped up for this season.
I mean, you should be. I mean, the Devils, I mean, I've been saying this, the Devils are the best team in the New York area, just in general, except for the New York Liberty, right? New York Liberty in the WNBA finals. Every other team, the Devils are just worlds better than. The Yankees and Mets missed the playoffs unexplicably. Like, just terrible, just awful seasons. And both teams seem like they're just going to bring everybody back. Let's do it again next year, right? The Giants, sorry, Sam. It's looking like it's looking like a college football year for you. Because them Giants look bad.
Penn State football has erased the Giants off of my attention list.
Yeah. And then the Jets obviously lose Aaron Rodgers and play 6. Then he goes on Pat McAfee and yells about the vaccine again, I guess. So he's doing Aaron Rodgers things. And then you got the Rangers who, there was a report today where the Athletic ranked all the teams. And basically they just put a bunch of numbers into a system, and it spits out what they think which team is going to end up where. And the Rangers were going to finish with 106 points. You know me, Sam. I'm an analytics guy. Like, I like the analytics, but they go too far sometimes. And where is this Rangers team better? Right? The only place you could see that they got better is like you took off Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko and you replaced them with Blake Wheeler. And, there's some, they have Jonathan Quick, who's a net negative now. Like, he's just not good anymore. So where are those extra points coming from? I don't understand. Like, again, I guess you can kind of assume the same place that we have the assumptions that the Devils are going to increase in points is the young players are going to take another step forward, right? You think Lafreniere, you think Kakko, you think Schittle, or Sam Wu.
Sorry, I just wanted to point something out before that. Those points are going to come from a skills competition. Shesterkin, and because the Rangers are going to be so even with a lot of these teams, that's probably going to be in the shootout points where they're going to try to get that extra point.
But you think this is a 106-point team?
No, I'm just saying where they're going to – if they have to go – the point I'm trying to say, they're going to have to go like 17-1. No, 17-0-1 in that kind of – setting.
But then you gotta hope that Jonathan Quick is never the goalie in the shootout, right? Like, is Shesterkin gonna pull Brodeur and play 71 games this year?
No, but I'm just
and then the Devils were, I think, at 104 points. So, it's not like the Devils are far behind, and like 2 points is literally like,
Sorry, I gotta interrupt. Timeout. There's a lot of blasphemy from Steve Engel on the YouTube Live, and another guy named John Ginkley about us podcasting during the game. We started doing this last season, and guess what happened? The team went on a historical run of winning. So anybody that's going to say blasphemy and all these big words like, "What? Don't you realize that we're screaming during the game?" I'm going to tell you right now, Nick and I are taking one for the team because we want this team to win.
And listen, my schedule has been out for longer than the Devils' schedule has been out.
Yeah.
They should work around me.
Yeah. You know,
they know I am on Wednesdays. If you look at the Devils' schedule, they know we're on Wednesdays. They very rarely have a Wednesday game. Every year. What, they have 3 last year?
Yeah. It was very minimal. Yeah.
So they know when the Let's Go Devils podcast records. They very rarely go on Sunday night too, right?
Yeah. Very rare.
They know the flagship and the State of the Fan address are priorities here, and let's schedule minimal games on Wednesdays.
There's no such thing as off season with this podcast because people are saying it's preseason, and there's no such thing as preemption on this podcast. Okay, we have staying power. Anyway, I just made that up.
Sam,
sounded pretty good though.
Sam, we did 45 shows during the pandemic.
Was that
it was wow. 10 months.
Wow.
Maybe it was like 42, 43.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 43. That's my favorite number. 43 shows. We did Luke Hughes' amount of shows between the last buzzer and the first puck drop. First preseason puck drop. Or I don't even think there was preseason here. I don't remember. 10 months, Sam. 10 months. We did 3 shows, I think, on Andreas Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm going to go on Wednesday. Wednesday's my day. That is the day that I'm on the podcast. That is the day that I, you know, and you know what? Steven and John, those are even your real names. I have a child at home. He is very small. Scheduling these things on different days without, and I'm going to say this, Sam, with how many special events we're going to bring you this year.
Oh.
With how many times I have to crawl to my wife and beg for please let me go out and play with Sam and the New Jersey Devils. The amount of times that I'm going to do that this season for you, for the fans. You know, and listen, I kid. This is one of the greatest things that I've done in my life. But, you know, come on. Also, if you don't want to listen now, the best thing about YouTube is you could go back and watch it later. You could go back and you know, listen on your favorite Apple or Google Play Store. Just make sure that when you go and you listen to us tomorrow, you give us those 5 stars. Give us that 5-star rating because, you know, we deserve it. And here's the thing, Sam. So I'm going to go back to hockey, if that's okay with everybody.
Oh, no. Before you get back to hockey, we talk about these special events. Don't we have one on the 24th? Because I've been hyping that up. Do you have any details on that?
Can you call me tomorrow?
Stop it.
No, let's just talk tomorrow. We're not going to talk about this right now. October 24th. It's only 20 days away. But we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Let's talk about it tomorrow.
All right. I've been hyping it up. People don't believe me, but okay.
Wait, we have a lot of parties, Sam. We're going to have our 1 million downloads party this year.
That's right. We're actually approaching 750,000 downloads.
Yeah, we got to plan a 1 million downloads party.
Yeah, we should hit it by opening night, actually. That's how close we are. Paul Marino, John Marino's dad, says all talk is a good thing.
Yeah, listen.
That's what he just texted me.
And it's the intermission. Get out of
He'd rather watch our podcast than his kid score goals in preseason.
His kid's playing well.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the lineup because the lineup that they put out tonight is going to be close to what you see in the opening night lineup, right? There's going to be some adjustments. It's not going to be exactly the same, but let's go forward with the assumption that this is it. So I had to write about one thing in the lineup, the one glaring thing, and that's Brendan Smith, right defenseman, next to Luke Hughes. Speaking of Paul Marino, I was 100% on board. John Marino, Luke Hughes, that's the pairing. It makes all the sense in the world. Make it happen. Luke has been, I don't want to call him below par because he's been terrible, but he's looked like a rookie in the preseason. And I think a lot of that has to do with the injury. He did score tonight, which is huge, but sometimes out of position, sometimes not exactly where he needs to be. And when Lindy Ruff feels like he has to keep a guy in the lineup, but doesn't, I don't want to call it trust, but feels like they need a little extra something. He doesn't like to put them with the Marino. He likes Marino to be that shutdown guy and focus on that, which is why he's with Kevin Ball, who Kevin Ball might be having the best preseason of any player besides Jesper Bratt. Bratt's having the best preseason by far, but as far as like expectations and where you expect them to be in the lineup, Kevin Ball, you couldn't take him out of the top four, which is why another reason why Luke Hughes was moved down. You don't want a third pairing of Luke Hughes and Simon Nemeth, right? You don't want to put a rookie pairing. And I've written articles saying I never want to see them together. I don't think they fit well together. I don't think that their skills mesh. I think it's just going to be blitzkrieg hockey. But seeing Smith in that spot over Colin Miller, who probably had the worst preseason as far as like expectations and what he had to gain and lose, he just kind of blew it, right? He had this chance to be in the lineup every day. I mean, think about it. Think about Colin Miller, who I believe is a free agent after the season. If I'm not 100, I don't have time to double check that, but coming in, look at what Damon Severson made. Look at how much money Columbus gave Damon Severson. Now, Severson's a little bit younger and has a little bit more of a track record, but Colin Miller could have made himself Ryan Graves money very easily if he just came in here and just did his job and crushed it. And I'm not saying that that's impossible. I'm not saying that we're making any outlandish judgments on the preseason, but it is disappointing to see what Miller did. And now you're sitting in here in a situation, Sam, where Brendan Smith looks like an everyday lineup guy. And not only is he an everyday lineup guy, he's on his offhand. He's a left-handed playing the right side. So, I just gave you a lot. I kind of want your thoughts on the defensive situation.
Well, I think I tweeted out before that Brendan Smith is in midseason form. Another penalty, slashing tonight. But you're going to need Brendan Smith in certain situations. Right now, I think Lindy Ruff, it's preseason right now. Lindy Ruff is mixing and matching. Who knows if Marino and Ball will be the pairing? You talked about Marino and Luke Hughes. Injuries happen. I think right now, honestly, putting Luke Hughes with Brendan Smith.
Don't like it.
Are they trying to protect him? Are they trying to
protect him? How? Like protect him from hits? Protect him from
I don't know.
mistake?
I'm just trying to find the logic in all of that. Sometimes Lindy with younger players.
Also, like, they haven't really been paired this preseason. Like, this came out of nowhere, and now this is how we're going to start the season? I can't hear you, Sam. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I'll keep going. Yeah, I just don't understand this. But I want to kind of pivot. It is what it is. Luke Hughes, I think, is going to eventually be with Marino. I think he might have to get over, I think it's an ankle or whatever it is. Just get over the small little injury, whatever he's dealing with right now. And then once he's kind of back to 100%, I think he's going to be in much better shape. But I kind of want to pivot to the fact that Alexander Holtz has remained steady on that second line or 1B line with Nico Hischier and Timo Meier. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
Holtz has established a spot on the second line. A lot of people had him kind of in the third line, maybe with Dawson Mercer kind of in that top 6, but they've kept that third line together with Palat, Haula, and Mercer. Put Holtz on that second line, and I think he's played well. I see a lot of people saying he hasn't played well, but he's scoring, and that above all else is what I care about. I get that he might lose some puck battles, so that's just not his game. Like, I don't expect him to win a lot of puck battles. He's not that type of player. He's a guy who needs to be positioned well and needs to be, it needs to finish, and he's done both of those things this preseason.
Alexander Holtz right now, you're right. He is scoring. It is preseason. I think he was scoring last preseason. Lindy Ruff was quick to say, and I read the article on NJ.com, Ryan Novozinski, who is a good friend of the podcast, that Ruff was not happy with the line. I forgot which game it was. And that, yes, they executed on that one play, but overall he was not happy. I think with Alexander Holtz, tonight he was back checking. He was trying to utilize his newfound speed. He's going to be, I wouldn't say a project, but you're going to have to be patient. Kevin Ball, look how far Kevin Ball has come since being drafted by the Coyotes, being traded to the Devils. Right now, he's looking like a beast. So with Alexander Holtz, right now, you see the incremental improvement in his game. And could he score 20 goals? I mean, that's a big – I think it's right now in his career, that's a big ask right now. But if he can score 20 to 25 this season, I'll take it. And, he's going to get better. His Utica numbers are decent, and I think he can do it. I think
his Utica numbers are good. Let's not downplay. He was good in Utica.
Yeah,
he was really decent. Good 2 years ago. He was a little inconsistent last year, but I blame that on, being a healthy scratch for a month. Mm-hmm. So I think he just needed some time to build up that, confidence and stuff, but. 2 years ago, he was the guy in Utica, right? He was the star there. So, he's got it in him. There's just, he's a little slow, just in general. You're not going to fix that. He's working so hard on his speed that, you got to take him for what he is. But I think that's why he's with Nico and not Hughes, right? Nico's line doesn't need as much speed. Timo Meier isn't exactly blazing fast. And then you get Toffoli, who's playing with Hughes, and they look good together. And Hughes just looks incredible, right? And here's the thing, Sam. I don't think we even really have to worry about it because have you seen this power play?
Yeah, but it is preseason. But it does look
it's 44%.
Still good.
44%.
But it's preseason.
It's 44%.
It's preseason.
They're still playing against NHL competition. It is 44%. And it's passing the eye test. It's one thing to be it's preseason. It's another thing to be this would be a goal in the Olympics. This would be a goal in the Stanley Cup final. These are goals that are insane. Amazing. Beyond reproach. These goals are Jack Hughes scored one today. I actually can't remember if it was on the power play or not now. I know that the Mercer one today was on the power play.
Yeah. Where
Nico got the puck in the defensive zone, rifled it down the ice to Meier, and found or no, he got tripped or hooked, whatever you want to call it, by Trouba. No call. And then Mercer cleaned up the rebound, right? And that's going to be a goal every time. And then Jack Hughes scored a goal where he passed. I can't remember who was underneath. It might have been Toffoli or it might have been Brad. I can't remember. But he creeped up just a little more after he made the pass, and he just rifled one past quick. So, this team is cycling the puck so well. I mean, that tic-tac-toe tick goal, the 4-pass goal from the other day on the power play. This team is just connecting so well, and that was the thing when we lost Andrew Burnett, I was going to miss his offensive expertise, but I still felt there was something missing with the power play. The power play was still not good, right? And we bring in Travis Green, and Travis Green has always had a really good power play, even as a head coach with Vancouver. Like, the one thing that he was doing well is special teams. So having him here, I'm already seeing the fruits of that. I'm already seeing a change in the way this team plays the power play. And it's the most positive change we've seen. If they could score, Sam, if they could score in the power play, they scored like the third most goals in the NHL last year, and they could score in the power play, the place where everyone scores goals. And now they're going to score in the power play with this team? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that power play that the Devils have right now, you talk about the tic-tac-toe, they don't need a half a stride before they find that other player with their pass. It is so quick. So quick. It's like milliseconds. As soon as the puck is on the tape, they already know who's available. The support system is great because even if you're dumping in the puck on the power play or the play goes awry and then suddenly there's help and support. They seem like they know how to swarm, anticipate where that puck's going to be in the offensive zone. That's what's been really impressive so far in preseason. It just seems like there's always two Devils there when the goalie makes a save and they've got the puck back. And
it's almost like, I mean, it's crashing the net, right? It's a pretty simple concept, but it's just something that it just seems like. The issue with the Devils' power play is they always seem to be not the perfect position, right?
Yeah.
They seem like every time a rebound came, it went to the other team. Every time, they found themselves on multiple occasions where they didn't have a pass. And it ruined plays because they would just, Jack Hughes would skate around and he'd eventually have two people on him. And it's like, how do you have two people on one player on the power play and there's nobody open? So there was always like this thing that was off. And, I don't know if it's the fact that there's so much tape on Jack Hughes and they've seen what he's done that he's drawing people. Like when he grabs the puck, it's like a magnet that like slowly pulls people towards him and that opens up the lanes a little bit more. Or if it's, just a better system. But either way, this power play is just disgusting. It's so good.
Oh, it's very good. And they look confident out there. They don't look, they're dictating the play, in the offensive zone, and they're just in full control. I mean, the power play, again, the power play has an Achilles heel, and it's those shorthanded chances going the other way. But so far in preseason, I'm not seeing that much of that right now.
I was going to say, has that been a problem in preseason? Because I don't recall.
I don't think so. Is that
and you're going to get a little bit of that with Luke Hughes, right? Yeah. That's something he needs to learn. You're going to get a little bit of that with. Yeah, I mean, Hamilton a little less. Severson was actually the worst culprit of that last year, and he's not here anymore. I think Dougie's issue was I think he was a little injured, and he wasn't getting back fast enough or often enough, more accurately. So, I think his allowing the initial 2-on-1 chance. There's going to be 2-on-1s. Like the best defensemen in the world, Carlson, Adam Fox, Cale Makar, all of them allow 2-on-1 chances. But yeah, I just think it's not as big as a problem for Hamilton as it's going to be for Luke.
Mm-hmm.
The one last thing, and we're gonna let you go because it's the third period already. We need to let you prepare for that that post game show. But how excited!
Just a programming note that I put it out there. Actually, Mark helped me. That the Woo report after the game. That's all.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, the last point I'm just going to make is, how great is it to see Luke Hughes winning faceoffs or Jack Hughes winning faceoffs? If Jack Hughes could get to 50% on faceoffs, he might be the best center next to Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure the guy at Editor and Leaf is going to scream at this, but he'll be better than Austin Matthews. He'll be better than Leon Draisaitl. He'll be better than whoever else you want to put up there. If he could get to 50% of faceoffs, it's going to A, make him better at faceoffs, which is his one glaring weakness, and B, it's going to give him so many more minutes of possession.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was like, what, 30% last year at faceoffs? That takes what? Over the course of a season, how long do you think that takes away from him possession-wise? 50 minutes? 70 minutes? Like,
that's true.
When you take the entirety.
Unless Lindy Ruff puts you out for a 9-minute shift.
Yeah, well. If you can get the puck on Hughes' stick more often, and if he can kind of do that on his own, I think that's going to mean so much to this team. And that line, like, think about it. That line doesn't, last year he was trying things with, like, Holla and Mercer and other players who could play center on that line. He's got Toffoli and Bratt. Neither can really play center. Mm-hmm. So he's trusting Jack to be, or Lindy Ruff is trusting Jack to be that guy. Win those faceoffs. Get his possession. Figure it out. And he's been doing just that in the preseason.
Yeah, trying to round out the balance of the team. And you know what? We talk about a lot of fans are talking about the top 9. But what about the fourth line? How stacked the fourth line is for the Devils right now. Lazar is looking really good during preseason. Nosek is on that line. Bastian, is he going to be on that line? Michael McLeod. That fourth line, again, brings so much energy that it's good to have depth in an 82-game season because you can save the wear and tear for the playoffs. But also, if you're running on all cylinders and you have guys that are simply can definitely be playing on another team, but you've got them on your roster in case injuries happen or a player needs a night off or whatnot. I mean, the Devils are just going to be, if you can roll 4 lines, they're going to be great every night.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm curious what this fourth line is going to be with, what is it right now? Tierney, Nosek, and McLeod. So it's another interesting thing with Bastian out of lineup, but I think that has something to do with the injury too. I'm not going to look too far into that. I do think depth is going to matter for this team. Mm-hmm. It's weird depth, right? Because now you got to, and here's the thing, and this is something we have to talk about before we go, is that it looks like Graham Clark didn't make the team. Cal Foote didn't make the team. He's in waivers right now, so we're not even sure if he's going to be a part of the organization. I expect him to be because nobody signed him. He got signed late, so if somebody wanted him, they would have just taken him. But here's the real struggle you have if you're the Devils, right? Tice Thompson needs waivers, and he's looked good. He's looked good this preseason. He looked like he could, in previous years, he could sneak into the lineup. Mm-hmm. Not this year. And then Nolan Foote. Nolan Foote was a lock to make this lineup, Sam. And he might not be a part of this organization in a week. By opening night, Nolan Foote might be, with Ottawa or something. Because he didn't play well enough. He didn't have a good preseason. And he didn't even need to have a good preseason. He needed to have an average preseason. He had a bad one. And he didn't show the scoring stroke. He didn't show that two-way play. He didn't, everything he was doing in Utica last year, he just didn't do. we thought the team is so high on him. I think they're going to find a way to keep him on the roster, whether it's somebody's injured, goes on IR, or whatever the case may be. But what you're looking at right now is Nolan Foote going on waivers, and I think he gets claimed. And I honestly think Tice Thompson gets claimed. Like, why not? Why wouldn't, like, Arizona or San Jose or Anaheim? Anaheim especially. I think Anaheim takes at least one of them. Why wouldn't they claim them, right?
Well,
they're trying to get younger, trying to get better.
I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter from a standpoint of, well, let's put it this way. He was not really the centerpiece of that Blake Coleman trade.
Yeah.
Right now, it's Timo Meyer because what they did with Muhammad Dolan and what they got in return. Now that 8-year contract, if all goes well, Nolan Foote, look, if he does well and somehow makes his team and does well with the Devils, and that's gravy. It's gravy at that point. But if they flip him for a third-round pick or something like that, I still think that's a victory because that trade has already done wonders. That 2020 draft class, the three of them, potentially with Holtz, it's going to help the team for the next 5 years at least.
Yeah. I just don't think you could trade them, right? Everybody knows they're kind of in like a bad spot.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I just I'm trying to figure out a way, like, how do you keep them on the roster, right? Because they want Tierney, they want to keep Lazar, they want to keep Nosek, they want to keep all these guys. Well, you can't do that if you want to keep Nolan Foote on the roster. And I think Tice is going on waivers, which is sad because I really do think he earned himself a spot, and they just didn't give it to him. Sam, what's going on with this team though? There's a ton of players still on this roster. They had an entirely different practice.
Yeah, it's like, the ones that are gonna make it are gonna play on the rock ice, and then the ones that are on the bubble, you just go play at that little practice rink. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, right? Like, why couldn't they just let everybody practice together? But, hockey coaches, Lindy's been doing this a long time. So that's kind of how it is. That's how he is. He's going to do that. But, Sam, that's all I got. We covered a lot tonight. The game's going on. I'll do my quick analysis, just what I've seen so far. The Hughes brothers, that Jack Hughes goal was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And, it's great to see Luke Hughes score. And Jesper Bratt I think Jesper Bratt's having the best preseason in the NHL. So if he could bring that momentum into the NHL, into the regular season, imagine Jesper Bratt becomes like a 35, 40 goal scorer. Like, this team is going to be one of the best offensive teams of all time. Like, it's hyperbole. I get it, but it's ridiculous.
It rivals the 2001 team where it's so much depth from top to bottom with the forwards that it's scary.
Most third lines score 30 goals in the NHL. This one could score 70.
Yeah.
Being realistic, if maybe being realistic is 60, right? 20 from each, but if you get 30 from Mercer and you get 15 from Palat and Haula, that's not asking for a lot.
Yeah.
and then you got a fourth line. We'll see what happens with McLeod, but McLeod looked like a dynamo in the playoffs, right? If he can find any sort of offensive touch, if McLeod is a 10-goal scorer and you get another 10 goals from the fourth line and you get 60 from the third line, if you get 80 goals from your bottom six in whatever fashion you get it, and then you get, let's say 160 goals from the top six, that's 280 goals in the season.
Yeah.
So and there'll be other goals that come in, right? Guys come in the lineup here and there.
Mhm.
And I'd say that this team is an easy bet to score 300 goals. And what did I think Edmonton scored 330 last year, something like that? I don't know. You probably don't remember, but I'm actually curious. I'm going to look it up, but I'm very set in thinking that this Devils team it could be, it's going to be right up there with Edmonton as the best offensive team, and I think it can very well, with its power play prowess and everything else that's going its way, I very much think it could be the highest scoring team in the league. And Edmonton was the number one team, 325 goals this year. The Devils could do that. It's going to be hard because nobody's going to do like a McDavid thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Hughes is scoring 50. I don't think anybody's scoring 50 on this team, but you could theoretically have 5 players score 30. And that's the thing. I was thinking, I was like, why? I feel like I'm missing goals. 280 seems like low. I didn't even think of all of the defensemen. If you get 15 goals from Hamilton, you get 10 goals from Hughes, you get, another 15 to 20 goals from the other 4 players. That's, there you are. You're right up there with the league leaders in goals then.
Yep.
It's crazy. But yeah, that's, Sam, that this team is ridiculous. They're railroading teams in the preseason. They're making everything look good. The streaming app that I'm using to watch this television program is making me a little upset. I'm not going to lie. We won't call anybody out on air, but.
What, this?
That looks like baseball, Sam.
No, that's actually the New York Football Giants.
Oh.
Anyway.
Is it commercial?
Yeah, it's commercial time. That's how I've been watching. People are asking me in the chat, how are you watching the game? It's the camera's right here. The camera's right here, and I just have it right there.
Yeah, I mean.
So I was just pretending that I was actually listening to Nick.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Listen, it's go to pucksandpitchforks.com, Sam. We've the ramping up of the century happening over there. We have so many. I'm going to start my plugs now. We got articles from myself. I told you I wrote about Luke Hughes today. Also wrote about a little bit about the lineup yesterday. Vinny Parisi wrote about the Devils preseason, trying to finish undefeated. Dan Rice spoke to Jesper Bratt. Spoke to the man himself. Jesper Bratt had a lot of interesting quotes, including the fact that he thinks about this team every single day. Every day he thinks about this roster. Every day. You got to read more about Jesper Bratt and what he had to say to Dan Rice. We also have Luke Garrison. He talks about which players have to prove themselves this season. John Bailey had talked about kind of how some of the recent depth additions haven't really been what we expected. Colin Miller, Nosak, a couple of the others. Sam talked about, not you, Sam, a different Sam, talked about Kevin Ball and how he can be a significant contributor long-term after a great preseason. Jersey Joe talked about Alexander Holt's potential. And then, we got another one coming from Marcy Rubin coming, either tonight or tomorrow on her takeaways from the preseason. So, big stuff, Sam.
Yeah, big stuff happening. Yeah, big stuff happening on pucksandpitchforks.com and with this podcast. Once Nick tells me tomorrow what's going on, I'll let you know. We'll report after the game. Till next time, let's go Devils.